Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Foliage. In today's video we are going to be talking about another beautiful philodendron called as the Philodendron Painted Lady. Now the plant is known for this beautiful mottled leaves. It has this marble kind of variegation. They don't get a lot of variegation but just a little bit of this on the leaves, and the leaves are more narrow and longer, and it tends to grow in a bunch like this. So that's the beauty of this plant, and it looks absolutely beautiful as well. Probably it's not picking up on this camera, but it looks absolutely stunning with those very subtle mottled variegation on the leaves. Now this plant is very easy to take care, just like all of our philodendrons. It's very easy to take care. Let's start off with the light. Now they prefer indirect bright light, no direct sunlight. Again, direct sunlight will damage the plant. Like for this plant I can offer early morning before 10 a.m. of direct sunlight, but nothing after that. So do not give it afternoon direct sunlight, otherwise the leaves will get burnt. Early morning, maybe before 10 or 9 a.m. direct sunlight is absolutely okay. But if your plant is very young, then do not offer any direct sunlight. Keep it an indirect but bright light. Filtered light, dappled sunlight, you can keep it under large foliage plants, or you can even keep it under the green shade cloth. There won't be any issue, but ensure you're not giving a lot of direct sunlight. To be on the safer side, give morning direct sunlight before 9 a.m. and that's going to be absolutely fine. They do prefer a good amount of indirect bright light. If you're going to keep it in low light, then the leaves will start to revert darker green in color, and then the show of this plant will be lost. The main feature of this plant are these small little subtle variegation on this plant. Now talking about the soil mix, I tend to use the same soil mix, which is a mix of coco peat, garden soil, sand and perlite. They prefer an even moisture in the soil but not soggy wet soil. The coco peat is going to retain that slight amount of moisture. Garden soil will give the natural nutrients and the minerals to the plant. Sand is going to make the soil mix well draining, and perlite will make it very airy because they prefer a very loose, well draining soil mix. Now talking about watering, whenever you see around 1 to 2 inches of the upper layer of soil is dry, go ahead and do a complete watering until the water starts passing through the drain hole. As I said, they are not drought tolerant plant. They need a little bit of moisture in the soil. So do not keep them underwatered for a very long time, because if you're going to keep them underwatered, you will start noticing the yellowing of the ends, the crisping of the ends. That is one of the feature. So that is the most tricky part about growing foliage plants, because a lot of times people say, oh, my plant is having a yellow tip or yellowing of the leaves. So there is always multiple factors behind that. It could be either due to underwatering, overwatering, low humidity, too much of sun, less sun, too much of fertilizer. So you can see a lot of factors. So we need to kind of do a checklist and see what is going wrong, and then we can diagnose the plant. So that's all about the watering part. Now talking about how to propagate this plant, it is pretty simple. The same process of doing the nod cutting. You can see there are multiple in this, so we'll have to separate it by taking out the plant from the soil, which I will do it later on. You can see over here, I don't know if it's visible, these are the aerial roots, so you'll have to cut it beneath that with the aerial root and then put it into a different pot, and then it will start to grow. So it's a very easy to grow plant. Talking about fertilizers, do not add fertilizers during the monsoon season. You can give rainwater. Rainwater is one of the best form of water you can give for your foliage plants. During winters, we will not fertilize. We are going to fertilize this plant directly in the next summers, because that's when the plant will be in their active growing period. During winters, also cut down on the watering. During monsoons, any which ways, we all know everything is moist, everything is wet. We do not want to add too much of water, otherwise the plant will get a root rot. The moment you start noticing that the low leaves are starting to turn yellow at a rapid pace, that indicates that your plant is taking in a lot of water. So you'll have to cut down on the water immediately. Now talking about is this plant toxic? Yes, this plant is toxic because it belongs to the genus of Philodendron. Ingesting of the leaves, stem can be very dangerous. So ensure you're keeping this plant away from the reach of small children and pets. Keep it at a safe distance. Then this plant is absolutely fine. You do not need to be worried. Now talking about temperature and humidity, this plant requires average humidity, not too high, not too low. Anywhere between 55% to 60% and above is going to work out really well. If you are from a very dry environment, of course you'll have to use a humidifier indoor. If you're growing it outdoor, club a lot of plants together, keep a pebble tray beneath, and you can do a light misting during the afternoons, especially when it's very hot, and that will take care of the plant. What I would say is, whenever you're doing misting, use filtered water, drinking water. That is going to work out really well. Otherwise, the plant will have a lot of watermarks, and in order to get rid of those watermarks, it's very difficult. So the best solution to get rid of watermarks is, first of all, don't even spray tap water, use drinking water. That is going to work out really well. Now, talking about temperature, anywhere between 15 degrees Celsius up to 34-35 degrees Celsius is going to work out really well. That is what usually my environment is. During the summers, it reaches up to 34 degrees Celsius, and I grow all of my foliage plants outdoor. The only thing that I have to be careful is to do a misting, because my environment is quite dry during the summers. Winters, it's not very dry. It is dry, but because of the cooler environment, it doesn't damage the plants much. But summers, yes, it can be a little bit tricky. So I do the light misting during the afternoons, and that tends to take care of the plant. So guys, if you are a beginner, if you're looking out for a very easy plant that tends to grow really bushy, then this is one of the plant you can add in your collection. It's super easy. You'll easily find it in any of your local nursery. It's not very rare, or it's not very common. It's somewhere in between, and you can easily find it in your local nursery. So guys, that's all about it. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep propagating.